Hey, imagine crawling through the jungle and finding a hidden cave. That'd be pretty awesome. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to build a cave scene. The trees are up high and the roots twist around. Yeah, dark shadows, whoo, scary. Question is how do you capture that in a drawing that draws people in? We're gonna use composition, we're gonna use layout, and we're gonna use value to make them want to stick around and see what the story's about. My name's Kurt, I'm a dad who draws. Come on, let's just come in here and get our framework here. I really like about this top photo is that these roots that are below it. So we're gonna use that as well. So let's come in here. And I'm just kind of getting an interesting line toward the top quarter of our trees here. And then at the top here, I'm gonna add some almost like letter V's. These are like the negative shapes that are in between the different giant trees at the top. And we're gonna come back in and detail this just a little bit. Right now we're just kind of laying out our picture here. And then the other thing I'm doing is I'm just kind of adding some additional lines to try and give a sense of where eventually these roots are going to follow. All right, let's create this about where we think this cave is. I'm thinking of composition here, so I'm gonna kind of put the cave entrance over here on the 1/3, like the 1/3 side of my page. And that's about where I think I'm gonna put it. And like we did just earlier, you could go ahead and add a tone to the edge of this if you wanted to. Now, look at the reference. I'm gonna call this A and B so I could refer to these pictures easily. So check out the reference of A. And underneath, look toward the top of it where the roots are. And there's like this wall of sand, you see that? And then it's just kind of a darker value. I'm going to add some tone up here. Okay, now let's start bringing in some of these objects that are in front of it. Now we're just kind of, this is going to be this rock here. We're going to use that rock as a good example. And then there's maybe another group of rocks and moss from this side. This is where I'm going to have a kind of a bush come in, I think, on this side here. See, I'm just kind of lightly organizing my picture here. More giant leaves maybe coming in over here and then over here, I'm gonna add some hanging foliage that's coming down. You see that? I'll give you a second to get caught up here. Okay, let's go ahead then and start thinking of some of our values. So what I want to do is I want to bring in the eyes. So to do that, we're going to add a darker value to some of the plants that are more closer to us. So I'm just going to do an even tone with all of these plants here. What I like to do is once I've laid out my picture, then I want to, before I get into detail, I want to start laying out some values. If I get the values right, then the picture will come together quite nicely. But if I don't get my values in, then I'll really struggle with the idea of what's in front of what. So all I've done up here is I've started to darken in these trees Okay, let's address our cave here. So let's see here now. Let's come up with maybe a shape. And your shape might be a little bit different than mine, but that's the shape I'm going to go for. Okay, and then there's my third value, back deep within this cavern here. All right, let's keep playing with the values here before we start getting into detail. So again, I'm going to make sure that this area is a little bit darker so your eye will go past that, and then you'll jump to the entrance of this cave. Sometimes when you're painting a picture, you'll throw a bunch of color. You'll throw a bunch of color in a canvas because it'll get you something to work on top of. And it's kind of the similar process here. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. So I'm going to start from the top and kind of work my way down. So let's get into some of these trees here. I'm just going to start adding some surface lines. Well, even just kind of lines to stimulate like the sense of bark. And since I'm looking up at it, I'm going to add like the surface lines are this way. That way it gives me a sense that it's towering over me. Add some roots here, and roots are kind of running side to side versus up or down. I'm always thinking of overlap as well. Look at this. Look at our reference there. I'm just going to go back in here and add some tone here. I'm kind of somewhat looking at the reference. Let's make this, I just thought of a crazy idea here. Let's kind of hang a skull up here. Something like this. And all I did to draw that skull was I just kind of made a square, and you can, you know, I'm drawing this one here. I think is going to be a better drawing because I've thought it through just a second. And instead of the picture that I drew, the skull that I drew in the picture, you know, the eyes are similar size, but in this example, I purposely made one a little bit larger than the other. This gives drama and kicks it off to one side. And then, of course, up here, this is like a wooden crossbar maybe. So this kind of gives our cave an edge, but also an entrance point. You don't want to go down a cave like this. If you are ever in the woods and you see something like this, you surely don't want to enter that. That's, you know, that's sure death right there, right? There's gold in that cave, I'll tell you that right now. I know that, but you have to give up your life. in order to get it. Look, I just did something almost subconsciously, and I want to point it out. It's in the bottom left corner of that cave. Look what I did, and you can actually see it in example A, where I came down with the wall there like this, and then I created the other wall by doing something like this. Again, this is the use of overlap. There's the front one. There's the second one. You see that? And I'm sharpening my edges by changing my value just a little bit. But that automatically creates this interest depth into this cave. Adding some foliage here, and I'll draw in the positive, and then I'll add some darker negative shapes. Okay, I'm going to come in here on this rock that's closest to us. Give a nice thick outline, and then I'm going to draw maybe the one behind it and the one behind that as well. More leaves here, and these look at these. Here's a way to draw like a banana leaf. You know, you might start off with a straight edge up there, and then oops. And then down here, when you go to fill it in, you might do something like this. See, it kind of has a bit of a jungle leaf right there. And then I think I'm going to come back in here and add some more tone. See, I'm just playing with value. I'm just putting a stick here and adding some surface lines, maybe some twigs there. I'm going to add maybe a tree is down here, right? And one thing I want to do is I'm going to add a big vine. Just that are coming right across my whole picture here, you see? You almost get to a point where you start making the picture your own. You know, yours is going to look a little bit different. I'm just throwing in details here, right? And then maybe in here I'm going to add some. Look at that, I've completely changed the picture here a bit. Maybe there's this row of rocks, this vein of rocks inside the side of this cliff here. Would you go into a cave like this and find a genie to grant you all your wishes? No way. Good. All right. But there you go. There is a very fun, illustrative approach to drawing a cave. Thanks for watching, everyone. My name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws. If you do have additional questions, please join our Facebook group. It's totally for free. Post your questions in there. You could direct it toward me, or even down here in the comments below. You could ask a question, and I will try and answer it my best. My name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws. All right. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Okay. Bye-bye.